Hi, my name is Jordan, and if you deal with social anxiety, I'm just going to take the next minute or two to tell about how God helped me overcome social anxiety. If wiping the palms of your hands on your jeans before a social event sounds familiar to you, then you probably know the feeling of social anxiety. It's that feeling when you get really nervous about something you're having to do that's social, whether that would be going to school, going to an event, just something where you're going to be around people, and you just get anxious about it. And I used to be this way. I was homeschooled, so I didn't have the same everyday social experience that a lot of people have from going to public school. But I still would have social interactions from like hanging out with friends in the neighborhood or playing sports. But the first thing that I would get socially anxious about was when I started going to youth groups at churches. And I had never really been to a church youth group before, even though I went to church, until I was 16 and my family and I were traveling the country, visiting different churches and youth groups. And so this came with going to a lot of youth groups for the first time, not knowing anyone, and so I would definitely get socially anxious before them. But this Bible verse helped me so much. Deuteronomy 31:8 that says, "The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged." And I saw how God truly would go ahead of me into these youth group nights. Quick little story time. The first youth group I ever went to was when my family and I were visiting a church in Pennsylvania, and we went to church on Sunday, and we ended up deciding to try the youth group on Wednesday. But when we showed up to the church on Wednesday, there was only like 1 or 2 cars in the parking lot. It looked like a ghost town, but all the lights were on at the church. We thought they must have not been having youth that night, but there were people up by the doors, so we decided to walk up. And when we got to the doors, they asked us if we were the traveling family, and when we said we were, they said that they were expecting us. Expecting us? We had never told anyone that we were coming, but they knew that we were traveling and visiting churches and youth groups. Why the church was so empty that night is because this was actually the 4th Wednesday of the month, where this youth group would meet in homes across the city and not at the church. But because they knew our story and that we were visiting churches and youth groups, they had 4 or 5 leaders there and a couple students there to be at the church just in case we didn't know about the homes and we came to the church. And so they ended up putting on a youth night for us, me, my brother, and my sister, and we got to know some people, had a good time, and they kind of showed us what a youth group looks like. They told us what their youth group usually looks like, what kind of things they do, but we got to experience it all in a not so overwhelming setting for the first time. And so then after that, when I would visit other youth groups, I wasn't overwhelmed because I knew what went on, I knew what happened at these things. And I had the memory of God going before us and doing that for us at the first one we went to. And so I just wanted to encourage you today, if you're dealing with social anxiety, know that God goes before you. Know that he'll never leave you or forsake you. And let this give you confidence to not be afraid or discouraged. Because you see, something I found about overcoming social anxiety was that in order to overcome being uncomfortable, I had to do the uncomfortable. And the more I did the uncomfortable, the more comfortable I was with it. The more I was around a bunch of people, the more comfortable I was being around a bunch of people. The more I talked to people, the more comfortable I was talking to people. So sometimes it just takes doing what you're afraid of and what you're anxious about, because you know that God's with you, and it's actually not that scary. And as you do the uncomfortable, it will become comfortable.